Could. The sun has dipped below the horizon, leaving a sky awash with hues of amber and lavender. Could. The air, still warm from the day's relentless heat, carries the scent of jasmine and cedar. This is the hour when the veil between the worlds is at its thinnest, according to the ancient Egyptians. It's a time when the souls of the departed are believed to wander the earth, seeking solace, or perhaps a helping hand. We invite you to join us as we open the Book of the Dead, an ancient Egyptian funerary text that serves as a guide to the afterlife. Together, we'll navigate the treacherous journey that awaits a soul as it embarks on its final adventure. Be warned, though, for this is no ordinary journey. Oddities fraught with peril, demanding unwavering courage and steadfast determination. Only those who successfully navigate its winding paths are promised eternal rest. Gah! Those who fail, well, they are said to wander the underworld for eternity, trapped in a never-ending cycle of despair. Are you brave enough to face the darkness that lies ahead? Are you prepared to confront the monsters that dwell in the shadows and unravel the secrets that have been hidden for millennia? If so, then let us begin our descent into the underworld and uncover the hidden truths that await us in the Book of the Dead. The great Sphinx of Giza gazes serenely over the desert sands, its ancient eyes seemingly holding the secrets of the ages. Could. Nearby, the towering pyramids stand as silent sentinels, guarding the eternal slumber of their royal occupants. But what was daily life like in this land of pharaohs and priests? What did the average Egyptian worker experience from dawn till dusk? Welcome to our series, where history comes alive through personal stories. Today, we're stepping into the sandals of an ordinary Egyptian laborer and experiencing a day in their life. Our story begins at the crack of dawn as the sun god Ra rises over the eastern horizon, casting his golden rays over the bustling city of Memphis. Ra represents the pharaoh, symbolizing divine kingship over the land of Egypt. As the sun ascends, it signifies the beginning of a new day and the start of another cycle of work for our laborer. Their day begins with a simple ritual, a libation to Ra, pouring out a bit of water as an offering to the sun god. It's a gesture of respect and a way of acknowledging the importance of the pharaoh, both in their daily lives and in the grand scheme of things. Could life in ancient Egypt was deeply intertwined with religion, and such rituals were not just a part of their religious duty, but also a way of life. Could. The Egyptian laborer, much like the rest of the population, lived under the watchful eye of the pharaoh. Every aspect of their life, from the food they ate to the work they did, was carefully regulated. They paid taxes in the form of labor, dedicating a portion of their year to working on public projects, such as building the Great Pyramids or maintaining the sprawling irrigation systems. The pharaoh was considered the intermediary between the gods and the people. And in turn, the people had to show their unwavering support and obedience to him. So, as the sun climbs higher in the sky, our laborer sets to work, be it in the fields, the workshops, or on some public project. Their task is unending, demanding strength, skill, and patience. But they do not complain. They understand that their work is not just for the pharaoh or the gods, but for the sustenance of their family, their community, and ultimately their own survival. As the scorching midday heat intensifies, our laborer seeks refuge in the shade, taking a moment to rest and contemplate. In this moment of quiet solitude, they remember the great pyramid builders who toiled under the blazing sun to construct these magnificent structures. They think about their own place in history and the legacy they will leave behind. When they look up at the massive pyramids dotting the landscape, they are not just awestruck by their grandeur, but also filled with a sense of pride. These structures are a testament to the power and ingenuity of the Egyptian civilization. Each brick and each chamber echo with the stories of countless laborers like them who gave their sweat, day, strength, and their lives to make the pharaoh's dream a reality. Yet amidst this tapestry of routine and toil, there emerged a woman who dared to dream beyond the horizon of her time. Her name echoes through history as Hatshepsut, the daughter of Ara, hereditary princess, great of praises. And here's the kicker. King's wife is beloved. Now, normally, the title King's wife didn't automatically confer much power. In fact, it was usually a path to, well, political inconvenience for women in ancient Egypt. But Hatshepsut was no ordinary woman. No, sir. You see, her father was the pharaoh, but he had made a bit of a slip-up. You know those moments when you're supposed to be discreet but end up making a grand spectacle? Well, he had married her mother, but he hadn't exactly kept it under wraps. The result, Hatshepsut found herself in a peculiar predicament. She was the stepdaughter of the pharaoh and the wife of her stepfather. A situation that might make some of you squirm. Boo. But was quite common in the royal families of that era. And here's where things get really interesting. When her father died, she found herself in a position of great responsibility. The big question, what kind of ruler would she be? Now, traditionally, the throne would have passed to her stepbrother, Thutmose, who was also her husband. But fate had other plans. Hatshepsut, being the clever strategist that she was, decided to play her cards right. She took charge, donned the traditional male attire of pharaohs, complete with a false beard, and declared herself the rightful heir. And so began the unconventional reign of Queen Hatshepsut, a female pharaoh ruling in a man's world. Her authority wasn't just a product of circumstance. No, sir. She commanded respect and her subjects rallied behind her. The kingdom flourished under her rule. Trade routes hummed with activity, bringing riches and exotic goods to Egypt. Her architects and engineers weren't idle either. They built magnificent temples, most notably the Temple of Di el-Bahari, a testament to her ambition and grandeur. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Her stepbrother, Thutmose, eventually came back to challenge her authority. Can you imagine the family drama? But Hatshepsut stood firm, cementing her claim to the throne and pushing back against any who dared question her right to rule. Now, some folks might say, what's the big deal about a woman wearing a fancy hat and a beard? Well, in a society that had very specific roles for men and women, she was essentially saying, I don't just want to be a king's wife. I am the king. She challenged the status quo, showing that a woman could lead, could build, and could govern just as a man could. In fact, Hatshepsut went even further. She commissioned stunning works of art that depicted her as a strong, masculine ruler, driving home the point that she wasn't just a woman in a man's world. She was a force to be reckoned with. After her reign, they tried to erase her from history, which is pretty messed up if you ask me. They defaced her monuments and took away her titles. But guess what? Her legacy lived on. Later rulers built on her achievements, proving that her impact was undeniable. So why should you care about this ancient queen? Well, Hatshepsut reminds us that women have been leaders, builders, and innovators since, well, forever. She was a trailblazer who defied the odds and paved the way for future generations of female leaders. And hey, maybe it's time we stop judging people by their gender roles and start celebrating their achievements, no matter what the naysayers say. Thanks for listening. Our next tale begins with a familiar figure, the iconic yet enigmatic Pharaoh Khud, whose radical religious reforms had a profound impact on ancient Egyptian society. His story, however, pales in comparison to the life and legacy of his wife, Queen Nefertiti. Historians often placed Akhenaten at the center of the narrative, coups overshadowing his wife's significant contributions during their shared rule. But what if we shift our perspective and explore the story of Nefertiti? What if we consider the possibility that she was not merely a supportive consort, but a powerful force behind the throne? Imagine her, standing beside Akhenaten as he announced his revolutionary shift towards monotheism. A radical idea that would forever alter the religious landscape of Egypt. Her role in this transformation, while not explicitly stated in the historical record, is a fascinating subject of speculation and debate among historians. Was she a willing participant, an advisor, or perhaps the driving force behind this bold change? One can only speculate about her thoughts, feelings, and influences during this monumental period. Akhenaten pursued his religious revolution, moving the empire's capital to Amarna and constructing a new city. He also embarked on an ambitious building project, constructing a grand temple complex dedicated to Aten, the sun god. Here, amidst the grand halls and courtyards, the royal family, including Nefertiti, would have played a central role in religious ceremonies, daily rituals, and the enactment of their divine roles. Picture the grandeur of these ceremonies, the hymns sung in praise of the and the offerings presented by the royal couple as they sought to demonstrate their devotion and solidify their connection to the divine. But the brilliance of this architectural marvel was not limited to its religious function. It was also a symbol of power, a physical manifestation of the pharaoh's authority and the prosperity of the kingdom. Walking through the vast spaces of this temple, surrounded by its exquisite artwork, one can truly appreciate the scale and magnificence of the empire at its zenith. Beyond the temple walls, Akhenaten continued to reshape Egypt. He reorganized the administration, reformed the economy, and engaged in diplomatic missions with neighboring kingdoms. Through it all, Nefertiti was by his side, her presence a steady constant in a time of dramatic change. Her role, though often hidden behind the more flamboyant personality of her husband, was no less important. As the royal couple moved through their magnificent capital, one can imagine the awe inspired by their procession. Picture the sun glinting off gold ornaments, the rhythmic chants of the supporting crowds, and the murmur of excitement as the royal couple made their way through the city. Every step they took was a demonstration of their power, a visual reminder of the empire's wealth and influence. The streets would have been adorned with offerings to the with flowers, incense, and perhaps even small model boats representing the worship of the sun god. Yet their reign was not without challenges. External threats loomed, and the empire faced periods of instability and upheaval. Do it all! The royal couple stood firm, their bond strengthened by shared responsibilities and the adversities they overcame together. Their story is a testament to the complexities of ancient Egyptian society, a time when religion and politics were intertwined, when monumental architecture and abstract theological debates shaped the course of a nation. And at the heart of this story stands Nefertiti, not just as a queen, but as a potential driving force behind some of the most radical changes in Egyptian history. Her story, though partially hidden in the shadows of her husband's legacy, deserves to be illuminated. Her potential influence, her strength, and her intelligence remind us of the rich tapestry of personalities that once shaped ancient Egypt. Now we invite you to join us in this journey through time as we continue to explore the lives, loves, and losses of the ancient world. Each episode offers a unique window into a time-long past, allowing us to understand, appreciate, and learn from the diverse cultures that have shaped our world.
The year is 34 BCE. Egypt has been a province of Rome for nearly 200 years. And in Alexandria, one of the greatest cities of the ancient world, there lived a man named Aquila, a former slave. Aquila was now a freed man, part of the prosperous Alexandrian middle class. He is an intellectual and a zealot, a member of a secretive religious movement that promises salvation through a new covenant and a new law. You see, while the upper classes of Egyptian society clung to the old ways, worshiping the traditional pantheon of gods and goddesses, a growing number of people, many of them from the middle and lower classes, were turning towards a new faith. They were Jews. But wait, I hear you asking, didn't Judaism originate in the Middle East? Well, yes, it did. But remember that in the ancient world, trade and cultural exchange were constant. The Israelites had spread throughout the Mediterranean, including North Africa, and their religious influence was growing. Over the centuries, local customs and beliefs often blended with imported ideas, creating unique syncretic religions. This blending of traditions was happening all over the ancient world. In Alexandria, this new Jewish community, the city was a hub of international trade, a melting pot of cultures, and it attracted people from all over, including many Jews. But this cultural richness also meant religious friction. Tensions often flared between the traditional Egyptian religion and these newcomers with their unfamiliar God and restrictive practices. But for the Jews of Alexandria, their faith wasn't just a matter of personal conviction, it was a path to social mobility. Imagine the appeal of a faith that promised equality, justice, and a direct connection to the divine. A radical departure from the rigid social structure of Egyptian society. For many, this was a compelling alternative. Unfortunately, the path to religious freedom was paved with conflict. The Jews of Alexandria were often scapegoated, facing persecution during times of political instability. Their difference, both in their religious practices and in their cultural outlook, made them targets, leading to violence and discrimination. But amidst this turmoil, their response was both resolute and defiant. Enter Aquila, a leader of the Jewish community. He had seen his share of persecution, and he knew that their only defense was unity and resilience. He was a firm believer in the imminent arrival of a messianic age, an age of peace and justice under the direct rule of God. His sermons weren't just theological teachings. They were rallying cries for his people, calls for unity and strength in the face of adversity. For Aquila and his followers, their faith wasn't a passive acceptance of faith. It was a dynamic force that demanded action. Yet as the tensions in Alexandria grew, Aquila knew that a day might come when the Alexandrian Jews would need more than faith. They would need a miracle. Now, imagine yourself in the bustling port city of Alexandria in the year 38 CA. A massive earthquake has just struck, collapsing buildings and shaking the foundations of this great metropolis. Amidst the dust and the debris, the citizens emerged, dazed but determined. Fires rage, supplies are low, and the full extent of the damage is yet to be uncovered. And then there's the aftermath of the earthquake, a relentless civil war erupting between the citizens of Alexandria and Roman soldiers stationed in the city. Amidst the chaos, the Jewish quarters attacked, homes are destroyed, sacred texts are defiled, and many Jews flee for safety. But not everyone is spared. Some are captured and taken hostage, their fate's uncertain. Meanwhile, far from Alexandria, word of the city's plight reaches Rome, and the Emperor Caligula is intrigued, seeing an opportunity to distract the Roman populace from their own troubles and to bolster his flagging popularity. He hatches a sinister plan. He will use the Alexandrian Jews as pawns in a macabre game of political manipulation. With a cruel twist of his imperial authority, he commands that every Jew in Alexandria be crucified. Now, the horror of this edict sent shockwaves across the empire, but in Alexandria, it was met with defiance. Our hero, Aquila, refuses to bend. He gathers his followers, men, women, and children, and together they prepare to face their fate. But they won't face it alone. Appearing before them is the Apostle Paul, a figure from their shared past. He had once persecuted the Christians, but after a dramatic conversion experience, he became a zealous missionary. Now he stands before the Alexandrian Jews, offering them a choice: abandon their traditional faith and convert to Christianity, or face crucifixion alongside their fellow Jews. In the end, most choose the former, recognizing in Christianity a new path to salvation. But not Aquila! He steadfastly refuses to renounce his ancestral faith, choosing martyrdom over conversion. Now, this dramatic narrative isn't just a tale from the past. It's a story that reveals the remarkable journey of two faiths: Judaism and Christianity, and their surprising intersections in the ancient world. It also shows the courage of those who stood firm in their beliefs in the face of persecution. But it raises questions. Did ancient Egyptian beliefs truly extend to cursing intruders in their tombs? Was there really a curse surrounding King Tutankhamun's tomb? And what does the merging of cultures tell us about the adaptability and resilience of ancient religions? Join me next time as we continue to explore the legacy of the Egyptian pharaohs and the evolving tapestry of ancient religion. Until then, remember, history is full of surprises, and the echoes of the past resonate in our present in ways we only beginning to understand. Thanks for watching.
Good. Life in ancient Egypt is often romanticized, especially the lives of the elites. When we think of ancient Egypt, images of pharaohs, pyramids, and mummies come to mind. But what if I told you there was a secret, hidden side to their existence? What if their tombs held clues not just to their lavish lifestyle, but to a deeper, unsettling truth about their daily lives? Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to uncover the unsettling reality of life in ancient Egypt based on the findings in their tombs. Life in ancient Egypt was undoubtedly luxurious, especially for the elite class. Their tombs are filled with artifacts depicting their opulent lifestyle. For instance, Tutankhamun's tomb was filled with treasures such as chariots, furniture, and weapons, suggesting a life of comfort and leisure. However, beyond the opulence, their tombs reveal a darker, more unsettling side to their lives. One disturbing trend that emerges from examining the tombs of the Egyptian elites is the prevalence of depictions of violence and warfare. Many of these elite individuals were buried with objects related to combat, such as weapons and armor, indicating a culture that was not just peaceful and harmonious as is often portrayed, but also engaged in warfare and conquest. For example, Ramesses III's tomb showcases not only his wealth and power, but also the brutality of his reign, with scenes depicting battles and the subjugation of foreign lands. This suggests that despite the grandeur and luxury of their lives, the Egyptian elites lived under the constant threat of violence, both from within and outside their borders. Another disturbing aspect that comes to light when examining the tombs of the Egyptian elites is the prevalence of magic and the supernatural. Many tombs contain artifacts related to magic and rituals, such as amulets and incantations, suggesting a deep-rooted fear of the unknown and a desire to control it. For example, King Tut's famous death mask, along with other artifacts found in his tomb, suggest an obsession with preserving the pharaoh's soul and ensuring its safe passage into the afterlife. This reveals a profound preoccupation with death and the afterlife that permeated even the lives of the most powerful and wealthy Egyptians. Moreover, the tombs of the Egyptian elites also reveal a deep-seated fear of losing power and status. Many tombs contain scenes depicting the pharaohs defeating their enemies and protecting their borders, suggesting a constant fear of losing control and descending into chaos and destruction. For example, the tomb of King Narmer depicts scenes of the king conquering his enemies, and bringing order to Egypt, highlighting the fragility of the pharaoh's power and the constant need to assert dominance. This reveals a culture in which power was not just a means to an end, but an obsession that consumed the minds of the Egyptian elites. In conclusion, while the tombs of the Egyptian elites offer a glimpse into the opulence, and grandeur of their lifestyle, they also reveal a darker, more unsettling truth about their existence. From the prevalence of violence and warfare to the obsession with magic and the supernatural, these tombs suggest that the ancient Egyptian elites lived in a world of constant fear and uncertainty. They were not just powerful and wealthy rulers, but also victims of their own fears and the chaos that surrounded them. As we continue to explore the mysteries of ancient Egypt, it is important to remember that the lives of the Egyptian elites were not just filled with luxury and leisure, but also with the same fears and uncertainties that plague humanity even today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating content. Till next time, keep exploring the world around you and expanding your knowledge. And who knows? You might just uncover some of the secrets of ancient Egypt along the way.